This morning, the AM report is in conversation with Dr. Naledi Pandor, who has been a formidable force in South African politics with a remarkable career. She's held multiple ministerial positions, including Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Minister of Higher Education, Minister of Science and Technology as well. She's known for her dedication to public service, her unwavering commitment to education, and her efforts in promoting international diplomacy. Dr. Pandor has made significant contributions to both national and global affairs. As she takes a step away from politics, we take a look at her journey, what she's learned and what her plans are for the future. She joins us now for a chat. Dr. Pandor, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. I think everyone's wondering what it's like on the other side of that chair in the National Assembly or that ministerial chair. Things quieting down. Are you enjoying that?
Oh, yes. Good morning, Naledi, and good morning to the viewers of Newzroom Afrika. Thank you for this opportunity. Well, let me start to say that it can be quite boring. So you've got to make sure that you keep active. But there are many things that, one can do. I've been really lucky. I'm been invited to give several lectures. I'm also receiving various awards, which is really kind of a number of organizations. So I have a very busy program up to the end of this year.
Yeah, boring is quite the description and very honest. And I think I want to talk about honesty for a little bit, Dr. Pandor, if you'll allow me. I mean, a lot of people are, as we report on your career and your lifespan in politics, have really looked at, it's been described as remarkable career. And I think that in modern day politics, when someone's political career ends, there might be, a dark shadow that they may drag with them. Many finding it very difficult to find one for you. Do you still believe that clean politics is possible for the future of South Africa? I'm curious.
Yes, I do. I believe it is. But what it requires is that all political organizations should ensure that they select men and women of integrity. This is extremely important. And perhaps even before you're selected as a candidate, there should be some form of integrity test. I know we have these lifestyle audits, but we're already in office at that time. Perhaps we need to know more about you before you assume office. And I was really glad that the African National Congress introduced interviews where they asked very probing questions of candidate nominees. So I think really enhancing processes both to test and identify levels of integrity would be absolutely important. But essentially, you learn these lessons of honesty from home, from your community. We may test and find through interviews that you appear to be honest, but the core is really rotten.
Yeah.
So it's also the values that you've learned from home, the values from your school, and a whole range of background issues.
Again, you said boring. You said bored. So you sitting at home can be a bit boring. As you sit and reflect, do you reflect a little bit on missed opportunities? I think about 2017, and a lot of people also raising the question around whether or not 2017 would have been the opportunity for you to really take up the reins within the African National Congress, where you did have the opportunity to stand as deputy president of the party and possibly the country. Is that a missed opportunity for you? And what would you have done with it had you taken it up?
Indeed, I think it was a missed opportunity. I had agreed to stand. Then I think over time I got a little nervous. I tend to kind of be a little stand back on some issues. So I think in retrospect, I believe I made a mistake, but it's fine. And also I wasn't in the back rooms with all the shenanigans and negotiations, going on. So I got a sense of some of it and felt, rather step back.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to wonder what that would have done to you know, what happened to the ANC in the years that followed 2017. I mean, you look now, for instance, at this election, the party coming in at 40%, not a great running for the ANC. And now going into this government of national unity before the elections, was there a sign that the ANC could possibly work with, say, for instance, the Freedom Front Plus or the Democratic Alliance or the parties that it has in fact included in this government of national unity? And do you think it's a step in the right direction?
Well, I don't think there was a sign. I certainly never expected it. Up to while standing in the election queue, I kept saying to some of your colleagues that we're going to get above 50%. So I, through the campaign, had felt that we would get a good result. But as you know, there have been many missteps, and I think the voting public was quite upset at the lack or inadequacy of service delivery. So I think we pay the price for that. So maybe these new associations are an opportunity both for the ANC and for the country to turn a corner and really focus on development of our country, support to all our people, and really focusing on ensuring that we have a quality South Africa.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about current issues that we are seeing, though. For instance, the Department of Trade and Industry and Competition in Washington this week at the AGOA Forum, wanting to see the extension of that agreement. The likelihood that you think that they'll be successful, particularly in light of the contribution that you made towards I suppose even approaching the ICJ and the discussion around pursuing those allegations of genocide against Israel. Do you think that that will stand the DTIC, for instance, in good stead as they have these discussions?
I certainly hope that it will. I believe Minister Tau will be able to engage in a positive discussion on the value of a continuing trade relationship with South Africa. And of course, South Africa being one of the larger economies on the African continent is an important trade partner for the United States of America. So I think the discussions are going to be about further cooperation. And I don't think South Africa goes there as a mere supplicant. I think we do have strong arguments for economic relations and for benefit for both countries. And I know the United States, as the world's largest economy, would not be careless about trade growth. And so I am optimistic that there will be a good outcome for South Africa, but also really pleased that the minister and his department, and I know Minister Lamula as well, are setting about ensuring they broaden and expand engagement and discussion.
Your tenure as DIRCO minister can, without a doubt, I think, be described as testing. I mean, at some point, you had to take that hardline approach where Israel and Palestine is concerned and be quite upfront about the position of South Africa. A difficult situation, though, where Ukraine and Russia was concerned. Once that invasion took place, you, of course, released a statement calling for Russia to withdraw its forces, and then reports that the president unhappy with that position that you took, and then you coming forward and taking a different turn, saying, well, negotiation is needed. Are you proud of that discussion, considering just how divisive that is in the bigger scheme of things where geopolitics is concerned?
Yes, I think so. Well, the reference to withdrawal was in respect of the United Nations Charter, which says countries can't occupy the territory of another sovereign state. So it was made in terms of that. And I think the president has had post the statement of the presidency indicated that indeed South Africa upholds all the contents of the United Nations Charter. And as you know, the policy position of South Africa on foreign policy is always to seek a peaceful outcome. This is something stated right from the Freedom Charter and continues to exist in our foreign policy up to today. So there was no dissonance. Really, it was, I think, the fact that we made a comment prior to having an opportunity to agree on the nature of statement that would be issued. But I didn't in any way doubt that there was a retreat from the core principles and values of our foreign policy.
I want to get into, if you'll allow me, just back to that discussion around the African National Congress and the opportunity that you had in 2017. And as you reflect and look at the leadership within the ANC, I mean, for instance, you've got the ANC Youth League for now calling for the Gauteng Premier to include more young people in the Gauteng cabinet. The argument that even the cabinet of the president is appointed does not reflect a lot of young people. But there's always the discussion around equal representation as you go up the stratas of power. Is there a ceiling for women in South African politics? Did you feel a ceiling when you had the opportunity to run for deputy president? Is that what would have made you pull back a little bit?
No, not at all. I don't believe in ceilings. I think firstly, when you want to take up a position, you need to look at all issues related to it, and even your own character. As I have said in previous discussions, I'm a doer by nature. And I don't just wish to be in an office and not have my hands, dirty, doing something that contributes to change. And my sense of that office was not always that it's a doer's office. But as I said, I think I should have stood, given that not many women have always stood for these positions. But do recall that we had Lindy Sisulu, we had Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. So clearly, South African women are chipping away, at the last remnants of that ceiling. And we are seeing more and more young people in Parliament and in the cabinet, in the executive. This is very positive, and I think we should be profiling those young people much, much more and really encouraging them to take a deep interest in politics for the long term. So it shouldn't be just an instance. It must be something that you intend to dedicate yourself to. This means reading. It means really studying governance and being ready when you do have the opportunity to take up office to make a success of the privilege that you will have been granted.
Yeah. I'd just love to be a fly on the wall in that handover meeting between yourself and Ronald Lamola. Key points that came out of that handover, things that you think he simply cannot afford to miss as he takes up this role.
Well, I think there were a number of issues. Firstly, the cause of the people of Palestine is something we've had a historic relationship on as the African National Congress, given our long-term association with the people of Palestine, and particularly the liberation leadership of Palestine. So this is an important issue, and it concerns not just the Palestinian question, but also the state of Israel. And I've said maybe he'll be better than I have been at perhaps achieving some consensus and engagement with all the parties. So that is a key issue. But my message to him was really that Africa is the premier concern for South Africa. We have Agenda 2063 of the African Union, and whatever we do, we must never, ever neglect the development agenda of the African Union and our continent, Africa. So I gave him a few tips that I won't mention here about, the new leadership of the AU and some thoughts on, what to look for and what we're beginning to see. But I can't say much here.
Yeah. Dr. Naledi Pandor, an absolute pleasure speaking to you, and all the best with the future. Whatever it is you get up to, please do let us all know. Dr. Naledi Pandor, the former Minister of Durko, from myself, Naledi Mulao, speaking to her. All right.